I would get on the phone, I would call up a band and say, hey, you want to come to Australia? And they're like, yeah, man, we'd love to come to Australia. The first tour I did was a band called Mudhoney. It went really well. They had a great time. I had a really good time. And they were like, man, you should do our friends Nirvana. I'm like, oh, I love Nirvana. At that time, the Bleach album was out. And so they were like, well, here's Kurt's number. Just call him up. Say you're our promoter. So I just rang him up. I went to the payphone outside Bondi Beach post office. And I organised the whole of the Nirvana tour, like pretty much in a pair of swimmers. These shows that we would organise, I would do them for myself and for my friends, really selfishly. I did it so me and my friends could watch them.
Stephen, while he was living through this incredible time, he was also taking the time to collect everything from receipts from hotel rooms to bar tabs to recording phone calls. So it's the things that are so simple and everyday which connect you personally to that time. Unpopular brings together over 200 objects from his archive alongside newly commissioned works and oral histories that really bring the 1990s alive.
It wasn't about trying to have sort of popularity or success, it was about just being involved in something you loved and that was different from what everyone else liked. And so I thought it was kind of ironic and funny to call something now which we can look back at and go, these bands are pretty popular as unpopular. This is Pavement at the Lansdowne Hotel, and what I love about this stuff is the drummer is doing a handstand next to the guy, Stephen, while he sings. Sophie, who took a lot of these photos, sort of captured a real energy in the room.
Sophie Howarth, incredible Australian photographer, documented the era, and there's a huge collection of her work in the exhibition, which shows on-stage performances, but also behind the scenes in a really intimate way.
And sort of memories for me like Beastie Boys, and they came out and played the hardcore set as that Quasar, and I love these photos of like Ian from the Makeup. He's actually standing on the people. I got connected to this whole culture of creativity that wasn't just about making music. It was like, okay, we need a good poster, we need to put a fanzine together and make it look really cool. And I would talk to other people like me that were in Seattle or in London or in Berlin, and they were doing the similar things. So I just really felt part of a really big family of DIY people. And it was super fulfilling to me to feel like part of that tribe. When I was looking at the archive, I didn't want anything to be like a hard rock cafe. Like there's some posters and a few lanyards. I wanted to present it in some creative format, but I wanted to work with some contemporary people to maybe represent it in a different way. And I came across an artist from Melbourne, a collage artist, Lillian O'Neill, and I really loved her work. She works with found photography. She created 3 new works, which are probably nothing like anything else in here. This is Iggy Pop. I know we're on a beach after Somersault in Perth, and I know this is Adam from the Beastie Boys, that part is. And then she obviously blends it with her own archival stuff. When Nirvana sort of blew the world up and people were really interested in this alternative rock or grunge or whatever you want to call it, a lot of older promoters or more established people or festivals were wanting these bands to come and play at them. And at some point, maybe Adam from the Beastie Boys was like, we should just do our own festival, our mates. I'm like, great. So we come up with the idea of Somersault, and we had Sonic Youth and Beck and Beastie Boys and Pavement, Rancid, the Foo Fighters and Bikini Kill. It was like one giant summer camp with all your mates. We're just traveling around together, having fun together. I was fortunate that we filmed it all on 16mm. For whatever reason, I did that and then forgot about it, put it in a basement for 30 years. I came across a contemporary filmmaker from LA called Julian Klintsevitz. His work was really kind of dreamy. He put a 3-screen multi-channel installation piece together with all that footage. You know, I would challenge anyone to really watch that whole thing and not be moved in some way. I think you can feel the energy of what it is. And then after Somersault, the world started to change. And I don't think I realised at the time, but it was almost the beginning of the end. It became this industry that was really cannibalised by the major record labels, the whole industry around it, all the radio formats. But to me, it was always about friends, family, and passion. And like I would daydream my life into reality. I'd dream about, oh, imagine if I could work with Sonic Youth, and just dream about it and think about it all the time and play the records and eventually call people up and it would happen. So when I look at this exhibition, I don't feel like it's a snapshot of the 90s. Yes, of course, it's like all these bands existed in the 90s, so we're going to see a lot of that in there. But the undercurrent is about people doing something unfiltered and doing it in a passionate way and in a really sort of hands-on, tactile, creative way.